All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Before we all stand for the pledge, we have two students that are going to lead us in the pledge tonight. We have Jacob Eisenhower and Jace Missler. They're both in 5th grade at Atkinson, and they're both with the Men with Manners Club. I know that program has started off with Mr. Ward there. It's been there a number of years. It's a great program for boys to get involved. You can see they're dressed up very nicely. They have their nice ties on. They look very nice for us tonight, very professional. I know Men with Manners do different things around the school, so it's great to start getting kids acclimated to community service and helping out and stuff. So that's a good thing to have. So we're going to have them lead us in the pledge. So if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and lead us with the pledge. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom. Here. Ms. Lehman.
Here.
Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Nally.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting, the organizational meeting and the regular meeting?
What?
Wait.
I think that's just supposed to be the regular meeting.
Okay. Let me change this.
I will make a note in the minutes to take that part out.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting held on February 9th, 2026, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lehman. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lehman.
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom. Yes. Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Nally.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
I will abstain since I was absent, so, but motion's approved. All right, moving on to our legislative report. Don.
Yes. Several different things this evening. Just wanted to mention a couple of we had our monthly legislative liaison Zoom meeting today at noon. So I picked up on a couple of the bills that they talked about a little bit. One was the House Bill 462, which deals with the EpiPens. They're trying to change the legislation on that. Just right now, kids are allowed to have the EpiPen with them, as I understand it. And there's a new nasal type spray for EpiPen instead of an EpiPen, using the nasal type spray. And legislation needs to be changed to allow for kids to have or carry those. House Bill 455, they called the omnibus bill. And basically what I got out of that was it's kind of to get rid of obsolete provisions that are requirements or laws, and kind of looking at some of those things. So who knows what's going to be thrown into that package. And then I believe it was House Bill 19 that was dealing with mathematics, and they're talking about achievement, they're talking about compliance, but it sounds like there's still a lot of debate as to what that's going to entail. One of the comments was, will it be an initiative of the governor? And I guess he has his state of the state address later this week, and they're kind of wondering if that'll come out at that time. And so, we'll kind of see that. Also, the legislature is gearing up capital budget. They're getting, obviously, this is a time when legislators and individual entities are submitting for to be part of the capital dollars. And And so those requests are due by March 12th. So like I said, entities are scrambling to get those in. The other thing I wanted to kind of hit on this evening, one dealt with property tax. We all know that there's that initiative out there looking at getting rid of property tax. And I was able to, from that meeting today, it was really good because I had had this down to talk about, but I obtained a copy of the Keith Kimberly Murniak, I think is how you pronounce it, who's the director of the Office of Budget and Management for the state of Ohio, who basically came out and said, and has put together a 2 or 3 page letter, just kind of saying that if the if something like property taxes were eliminated, it's just not feasible to look at sales and income tax to replace that. There were how many, we don't realize how many billions of dollars are involved. For example, I think it was $41 billion a year is what property tax throughout our state brings in to local entities. And that is about the same size as our current sales and income taxes to the state. So you're basically saying, let's eliminate that half, then figure out between those other 2 taxes, how do you replace that? And, so there's, I think people in general right now need to understand that. And again, like I've said at previous meetings, need to kind of educate themselves on that. I had someone a friend of mine actually, who said, "Hey, I just signed this getting rid of property taxes," and I said, I said a few not nice words to him first. And then I kind of said, do you understand if that is changed, how does that affect us? That takes away all that portion of property taxes that go to schools or, in the townships where it supports their local entity and fire and security and their roads. So there's a lot of pieces with that. But the comment was further that, well, nothing's been done since 1992 when things were deemed unconstitutional. And actually, it was 92 is kind of when things got started on that discussion. But 97, I think, is when DeRolf was actually put into place. And we did see, as local schools, there was this uptick in dollars to the schools because the state is mandated to support our public schools based on our Constitution. And kind of what happened was the comment was nothing's happened since then. And I kind of said, there has been progress or had been progress. The Fair School Funding Plan may not have been perfect, but it was heading in the right direction. It was providing those dollars. And, that's one of those areas that we need to kind of be aware of, that we have made progress. Right now, it seems like things might be going backwards a little bit, even though the legislature is saying, okay, we've cut you here, but we'll give you a little more here. Those dollars can go away. And, that kind of leads into one more comment on that is, back when in the 90s, our funding toward public education was in that 40% range. And a lot of it had to do with that lawsuit. Well, now what we're seeing is actually the support for public schools is down to around 29%. And I'm using that number based on the information that we receive from our treasurer, and that she'll talk about, I'm sure, a little bit more later this evening. So you can see that support has gone down. Where do those dollars go? And that kind of leads me into that, the voucher system, and looking at how many dollars are pulled off of the education line item for vouchers and those programs that are really not fitting into our Constitution. So I just wanted to kind of talk that out a little bit to you. There was some discussion today. My question with our Zoom was, how are the other legislative liaisons in the state presenting this information and to their public? And there were several different. One of the areas that I liked was, there's an entity that one of the school districts had put together some information on how to voice your opinion, how to do testimony, with the state legislature when their issues come up. So I saw some Denise, in terms of, if wheels or direction with that, if they felt strongly on it, is very similar to Kentucky, and the Kentucky Supreme Court just situation with funding for vouchers was it's a matter of who's going to enforce that, because if we've been deemed unconstitutional since the 90s, and the legislature has ignored it. Anybody had any input on that? But just wanted to share. Long-winded, I'm sorry.
But good information, though. I've just always thought, like, one avenue to get more, because I know schools are supposed to get a portion of it. Can't they raise that? I mean, I think that maybe that would be, I'm hoping that they've thought about it at least. I don't know how that ties in, but or exactly how they even distribute it. I don't know. There's a lot of money that goes in lotteries in Ohio. I mean, online betting on down the line.
Right.
It's so out there right now.
Yeah. I do not know how much money comes back to the schools now.
Either.
It's a very small percentage than
That's
what you
I'm
would
saying.
think.
So maybe if they
When you see it on a pie chart, it's basically like a pencil.
okay, so it is. Maybe they can sit down and say, "Hey, Why doesn't some more of this money go to the schools? I mean, that would make
Laura.
well, if you're gonna sit down and brainstorm, I
Oh
would
yeah,
start with-
absolutely, absolutely.
I agree. I think the lobbying would be strong for the other way, but ideas are needed, and we just have to kind of filter those to our legislatures.
All right. Thanks, Don. No walk-on items tonight.
No, sir.
No one here from the community to address the board, so we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Price. Good evening, board members. This evening is one of our work sessions, and so I have invited the high school principal, Mr. Ryan Norris, to join us to give us a little glimpse into Ross High School. If you remember at the beginning of the school year, we decided for our work sessions that we would find ways to blend and give some lens, not only for you, but for also all of our viewers at home, a glimpse and a connection between our strategic plan and the actions and work in our buildings. So this evening, I would just like to draw you in front of Mr. Norris's presentation, just draw you to our core component of students. We educate students. So our strategic objective in our 3-year strategic plan is that we will provide opportunities that allow all students to manifest their potential by encouraging leadership, innovative choices, and perseverance. You will see in a minute when Mr. Norris comes to the podium, one way that he is providing opportunity for choices amongst his student population and giving them opportunity to persevere and to have practice in that area. So Mr. Norris, if you would join us, please. He has a wonderful presentation for you this evening that will give you some very good information, very timely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for inviting me tonight and coming here to talk about a positive and a changing thing that has been really good at the high school. And this is the topic that you're going to be hearing about tonight. You're going to be really, this is what you brought as a positive thing that is happening at Ross. But I do want to talk about tonight the implementing Ohio's new cell phone law at Ross, the progress and impact that we've been seeing since we came back after Christmas break. So tonight, I would like to share the transition to the Ohio's new cell phone law. It changed from instructional time to instructional day, and we'll kind of go through how I was able to get the results that we're seeing right now. So, purpose of the policy. One thing as I continue on this journey now, I'm a year and a half in at Ross as the principal. I don't ever want to do anything just for compliance. I really don't. I want to do things that are going to strengthen our school, our community, and our kids in the building. So one of the things with this, we wanted to approach this as something we're going to strengthen time in the classroom, the relationships between our staff, our students, and the students, and also the learning environment in general. Obviously, we did have to align with the new state law. And it was different. It's one of those ones that you look at, they don't start at the beginning of the school year, they started at the halfway point. So we had to make sure we had communication the right way. Obviously, being at the high school, we want to support the academic focus. And to us, if we're taking the cell phones completely away, we're going to have more focus in the classroom and better engagement, which the next one, improve student engagement and also strengthen our school culture. And so far, we have seen all of these. One of the ways that we've made this as positive as what we have is transparent communication from this plan. From the get-go this year, I was asking the kids, because they did hear, hey, what are we going to do? We're doing this now. They thought we were bringing the yonder pouches right from the get-go. And I told them we're going to hold off. Right now they're saying January of 26. And I was very honest with the kids. I'm like, you never know what's going to happen in the state of Ohio. You don't know if things are going to change because things change rapidly sometimes. And this is one of those, I didn't want to have to possibly go out and spend a lot of money or come up with this whole plan. Then by the time we actually get to January, it's not even there anymore. We can just keep doing status quo. But things stayed. And we got closer to Thanksgiving and everything, I started telling them, hey, I don't see things changing. I'm going to have a plan. And once again, they came back, oh, we get in the yonder pouches. I'm like, we're not going to get the yonder pouches. So one of the main things, I communicated early expectations. Like I said, I was talking to the parents. I see people in the stores. I mean, it was just out there. I wasn't hiding that we're going to have to make a drastic change from what these kids are used to doing. Sent messages to the parents and the staff and students, getting the message out there. I talked beginning of the year to my staff about this possible change that's going to be coming and why we're not doing it until January. Explain the why. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Explain the why. Job force, business, that's one of the big driving points for this one. They need everybody to understand there's a time and a place. So we really tried to hit that hard. Reviewed the procedures repeatedly. Like I said, it was a broken record. Especially once I finally nailed down exactly how I wanted things to go, it just started coming out. And it's worked out quite nicely. Answer questions openly. Like I said, didn't hide behind the, well, maybe this, maybe that. Like I said, once we knew where we were heading, we were just telling anybody and everybody. If they wanted to know other school districts, I told them, this is how I'm going to do it. Main thing with all that, we didn't want any surprises. Surprises is where you get phone calls, and all of you get phone calls and emails about what are we doing. So I tried to be, like I said, as open as possible. Intentionally sent out parent square invites, emails. Everything was out there so everybody knew what was coming. I didn't want anything to be unclear or them to feel like something was sudden. So that was one of the top priorities as we move forward with this. The implementation approach, consistency has been key. Our students have responded. They've responded best this year and even last year when I first got here. If I put my expectations out there and we were very consistent with it, they have rose to the challenge. So we tried to make sure that everything was unified across the board. We were modeling ourselves, like even going down. If I know, and the other assistant principals, we are really trying to model ourselves that if somebody needs to get a hold of us, they can radio us. We're trying not to have our phones out because same thing. Even if we know we're going to be getting a call or a message or something, we will try to have somebody come and get us. Call the office first and then they'll come get us. So we're really trying to model in the building from the adults what we are expecting out of the kids. And that was one of the things that some of the students brought up to our attention also is, well, what about the adults? And it's very easy to say, well, the law is not written for the adults, it's written for you. But we told them we're going to model this as best as we can. There may be times that, yes, there's something going on in the district and we're going to have our phone. You're going to see us on our phone, but that's going to be job purpose only. So I think building wise, we have done a very, very good job of modeling what our students need to be doing. And I think that has helped also. Consistent expectations across the building. And what I just talked about, staff support and alignment. One thing that I've preached to my building, we are as strong as our weakest link. So if everybody's doing about the same thing, the same messages in every classroom, then the chance of something being successful goes up dramatically. So we've really tried to do that to the best that we can. And then focus on the teaching expectations rather than the punishment. Yes, with this came new discipline for the cell phones just because it's a law, it's a change. If we didn't put a little more backbone in it, they're, oh well, I get a warning. We had to up that just because of what we were having to implement. And once again, that was out there very early. All that communication was out exactly what the discipline was going to be. I mean, there was no secrets left to anybody in the community. If they looked at any of their parent squares or their emails that were coming from us, we told them exactly what was going to be coming. And like I said, I've been very, very happy with how things have been. And this is who I'm the most happy with, is the student response to this. I mean, we are taking away something that I don't care where you're at. If you're in the store, walking down the side, I mean, people are on their cell phones all the time. And our students, they deserve a ton of credit on this. They have adapted quickly and they've showed maturity and how to handle a change. Have they all liked it? Absolutely not. But they have made comments like, wow, I'm glad that we are being forced off of these. We didn't realize how much we were actually on these. One, I do need to reach out to transportation and just say, hey, are the buses quieter, because they're trying to catch up on all their streaks and all their messages they get and what they have to do, that they're doing throughout the days in the hallways or at lunch. But they have definitely shown a huge, very high level of cooperation with this. A lot of people that I talk to, parents wise and stuff, they're like, oh, are you ready for the headache coming? I'm just like, hey, they know what's coming. And I've been very happy with the response of our students with this. They've been very respectful. I know I have the word compliance up here, but it's kind of like that. I mean, in a job, you're not going to like everything that's going on in your job, but sometimes you have to be compliant to be able to keep that job. And I think they've been very respectful when we've had to talk to the kids, when we've had to deal with some of them. Really, overall, for the size of building we've had few discipline concerns. I mean, they're doing a good job. They even asked, so do we have to turn into the attendance office? And I'm just like, if you have a car and you want to keep it in your car, I'm not searching for it. But if we see it, we're going to deal with it. And they've done a very good job. Do I think everybody has turned it in or put it in their locker? No, but we're not seeing them. And that to me, that's one of the biggest things. They are doing what we're asking them to do. And the students, they did adjust really quick. I'm not going to lie. I really thought the first couple weeks, just like with any new initiative, the first couple of weeks were going to be a huge headache, and they really weren't. We were all very, very happy with how well the kids responded to this change. Cultural impact that we're seeing. This is one of the biggest differences that they've had to deal with: social connection. Students are interacting more naturally with each other again. So kind of like when we were all in school. There were no cell phones. I mean, you had the old school handwritten notes. Haven't found too many of those, but I have heard that some teachers are seeing kids writing notes again, which is, to me, it's hey, they're writing, we're good.
I can show them how to fold.
I was going to say we need to teach them our talent.
I'm going to get into that too here, but they are interacting more. I mean, you're going down the hallway now, and I know Mrs. Hurd has seen this. You don't know if they're going to look up in time or they're going to run into you. You actually see faces walking down the hallway. You hear conversation, you hear laughing. It's been very nice. More peer-to-peer interaction, less of that isolation that those kids, everything is just on that cell phone. So they're okay with not talking to anybody. They'll just sit there and they will just look down. They will not, they're okay with not looking up, and we are getting out of that. You still have the ones that are still quiet. You always will, but they don't have that device to allow them to be so isolated. And to me right now, we're kind of getting more of that sense of stronger community within the building. So that's just some of the things that we're seeing. So what are the students doing instead? This right here has made me chuckle quite a bit. We are playing games. I've seen Connect 4 at lunch. We've had little mini board games coming in, playing cards, anywhere from Uno to actually the Uno Ultimate, or the cheaters. I mean, there's so many different types of Uno now. It's amazing. I did not know this. And then you have like the game of war, just different card games going on. There's always cards going on at lunch. So if you ever come in during lunch, you're going to see card games. You can sit down and play some cards with the kids. They're creating the old school the paper triangle football games, and they're sitting there flicking to the goalpost. That's going on. They're talking more. I will say our lunchroom is much louder, but it's a welcome louder because they're all talking. I mean, they're either playing a game or they're talking to each other. We have origami going on. There actually is a TikTok challenge. I learned about this the other day. I had to add this one in. And there's like, oh, TikTok. Well, this TikTok challenge is kind of interesting because obviously it's going on with no cell phones in schools. So it's bring something random. So I asked, I'm like, what does that mean? So you're supposed to bring something random from home, show it, but you have to keep a straight face. And I have seen that a couple times now. They're just this weird, like, okay. But so they're doing challenges, but it's an interactive, it's a social type of challenge. So, and there's a whole lot more books being read during lunch, study hall, because they can't just sit there on Netflix anymore. So they're bringing books in and doing things like that. So, the amount of headaches everybody thought I was going to have, I'm hoping I'm not jinxing myself either right now. It could happen, but they have done such a wonderful job, and the amount of things going on without those socially is absolutely amazing right now. It has been refreshing to see the students just rediscover the simple social interactions and games that do not involve screens. It's been very good. Key reasons, I really think the clear expectations, consistent enforcement, strong communication, student buy-in, and staff unity. Those are the reasons right now, I think, why it's working so well at Ross. With the amount of students that we have, the amount of staff. I mean, everybody's just come together. They knew what was coming, and it's been very good. So this change has been positive for our students and our school. It hasn't just changed behavior. It's strengthened engagement, relationships, and the overall learning environment. Thank you. Any questions?
I'm happy to hear it.
Too. I'm glad they're talking to each other. And
Oh, they are. It's so loud in there now, which, like I said, it's wonderful. The hallways, it's just nice seeing kids talk and getting that communication out, because, as they get older and they get out into jobs that they have to interview, they have to know how to look at people and they have to know how to communicate. That was one thing with just the devices in school. It took away. You could see kids at the lunch table before January, and they're having a conversation without looking up. They're texting each other at the same table, the conversation.
Yeah.
Now they're doing that. And I know it's crazy, but actually that's what was going on. But in the hallways, I mean, I really try to find different places to stand just to kind of see. And the teachers have done a good job. There's only been a handful, and I'm really saying that right now, a handful that they try to sneak their cell phone, and then we'll get an email. Hey, so-and-so at this time, look, I'm not sure who it was. They had their phone out, and we'll bring them down. So, what are you doing? And then we deal with it, and we go on from there. Study hall and stuff, I'll stand up on the upper part, looking down at the commons, and I don't see anything. So it's wonderful. They've done a very, very good job. I mean, it's a huge shout out to the students and my staff, but we've done better than I think anybody expected us to do on this.
I'd just like to commend you and how you've worked with your staff and having that very positive approach to this that could be could have been a very negative.
Oh, it could have been a nightmare.
Negative thing. So I commend you for, working with your staff.
Well, thank you.
Students and that environment.
Thank you very much.
I think the thing you did really well, that you might have undersold just a tiny bit in your presentation, is definitely that right from the gate in the fall, like as a parent in the district, parents were aware of what was coming down. My kid came home the first day of school and was like, Mom, in January, here's what's going down. So like for our dinner time conversation, you know what I mean, to be something that she heard directly, your directives through, you know what I mean, your teachers and your staff, has been clear from the first day of school. That's why I'm sitting here nodding emphatically when you're talking about everything, because everything you said is exactly, what happened. So your leadership definitely plays a huge role in how this rolled out. The only one complaint that I would have is while compliance at school is up, compliance at home is not. Because I got to make up for that lost time at
oh yeah, trust me, when they're
home.
leaving. When they're leaving, it's time to catch up. So yeah,
But I'll take
I will
that.
apologize,
anyway.
but not apologize for the home part because it's going well at school. So
That's my problem at home, but no, job well done.
thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the best examples is everybody's open and honest about it.
Mhm.
So the kids saw that you weren't trying to hide anything. And it's a good example for them that moving on when they're adults, just be open and honest about a reasoning for something.
Right.
And it's going to work out fine. And you had buy-in from the get-go,
Yep.
Yeah.
where if you try to sneak it in under the rug or something, kids know you're hiding something,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then that causes issues. And then they try to sneak. And when you're open and honest, hey, we're open and honest. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
Okay, at least I know what's coming if I decide not to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, great
Awesome.
job.
Thank you. Anything
you.
else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. I appreciate your time and sharing all of that good information with us. And I just have one other thing, and also has to do with Ross High School. We did send an alert around 5 o'clock this evening. Just want to make sure that all of our parents of juniors and all of our junior students, tomorrow is their first opportunity this school year to take the ACT for free. You remember that law changed a couple years ago, and each school district needed to organize an opportunity for our juniors to have access to that ACT. That test will take place tomorrow. We'll begin promptly at 7:30, and we need all of our juniors to come well rested. They're ready to do their very best with a fully charged Chromebook. Please make sure you charge your Chromebook this evening. And I want to make sure and get that message out to all of our juniors. Grade 11 students, just without having school today, we don't want to miss. We want to make sure that they are ready to go. So we did send an alert, made sure that we are communicating through Parent Square with our students and our families. But
Did they have to pre-register for that, or is that?
they did, and they did that through their classes. All of that work has been done earlier in this school year. And if by chance that we have a 11th grade student that may have thought that they weren't interested in taking us up on that offer of a free ACT, there is another date coming. There's a redo. So I would encourage them to make sure that they're speaking to Mr. Norris and making sure that we get that information. Yes, sir. Oh, thank you. You are correct. I forgot about that. This is our first year to try an online administration. For that, that's why they need those Chromebooks fully charged. So in the past, we have administered that ACT as a paper pencil test. Now that we are very fully one-to-one at the high school level, and our students are very comfortable on their Chromebooks, we're going to give that a go tomorrow. Thank you for reminding them. All right. I will continue, Mr. Price, if you're
Yes. Yep.
okay. I would ask your approval for item number 1. We have some donations that have come to the district. And I would like to note, all of our donations are always very generous and very kind, and we so appreciate them. But I would like to give a special recognition to Sandusky County Share and Care for their donation to the district. That is very sizable, and we will put that to very, very good use.
Can I get a motion to approve item 1, please?
Moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lewis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yeah.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you. Item number 2. If you remember back to the beginning of the school year, we had brought onto the agenda to purchase some buses. This is the second half of our installment for this year. So we would like to purchase 3 buses. 1 would be through our permanent improvement levy and 2 from general fund. And those will be purchased through our consortium, so we get some better pricing, be able to bring that to you.
Can I get a motion to approve item 2, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nally. Could I have a second?
Second.
Whoever.
Second by Ms. Lehman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yeah.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you. I would ask that you provide approval for the second reading of our policies, numbers, item number 3 through 7.
Can I get a motion to approve items 3 through 7, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lewis. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yes.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you. Item number 8 begins our staff items this evening. We have some appointments. We have a resignation with Kimberly Meek. And just a note, this is one of those long-time staff members. Mrs. Meek has been employed with us since 1993. So many years of service in many different buildings and in many different roles. And she has served a lot of students within Fremont City Schools. So one to note for sure. Some appointments new to our district, which we're always excited to see. Item number 10, we have some supplemental contracts that we would like to move forward with. Item number 11 and 12, we have some stipends that are aligned for those teachers that do a little bit of those extra pieces and take those novice teachers from methods or student teaching. And we attempt to give them those great experiences here in Fremont City Schools.
Can I get a motion to approve items 8 through 12, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Ms. Lehman. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lewis. Any discussion?
Just Miss Kim Meek helped me. She is a historian of sorts, the keeper of record, if you will. I was seeking a grade school class picture from the 80s. And for a friend of mine's family who passed away. And I had put out a Facebook post like on some of the, hey, I'm seeking this picture from this year or whatever. She saw it on one of the posts. She hopped on the email and contacted me and said, boom, I found it. How can I get it to you? Tears, everything. I mean, like it was wonderful. So she was very helpful without even being asked. She answered a call like just kind of randomly. So thank you to her and thank you for her service.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Lehman,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. Moving on to report of the treasurer.
Good evening. I have quite a few items for me, probably double more than normal. I think I took up about 75% of the agenda tonight. And Mr. Price asked, so I just thought I'd clarify. Yes, we need all of that language in that last item. That was not just me having fun with page filler. So out of those 4 items, one is the January financial report. Not going to go too in depth into that just because the forecast that's on is based pretty heavily off of those January numbers, as that's the most recent month that's been closed out for this first forecast. So don't be shocked when the January forecast seems to be a little bit more glossed over, but I don't want to bore everybody by repeating similar information when I move into the 5-year forecast. So starting with the January, just to give you a quick overview on the January financials before I have it for approval. The revenue for January, some of our big items, the real estate tax looks like it's down for revenues. That's just merely a timing issue of when we got advances in January versus this time January last year versus this time January now. So I don't really see that decrease in revenue will hold for the rest of the time, but we will see the final real estate collection in March from that for the final real estate payments for this year. The tangible personal property it looks very significant up. It's going to be carrying that for a while. You saw that huge increase from the beginning of the year, and it'll hold through the end of the year just because of that one-time repayment of the back taxes from our Nexus pipeline.
Right.
Yes. So I just want to highlight that while it looks like it's largely up, it's just because of that payment. And then as we look at, sorry, the Medicaid, oh, it's showing in a different line, but we also have some other revenue that's showing up higher, and it just has to do with receiving larger one-time payments from amounts owed versus last year to this year. State funding is down. I wanted to highlight that. I'll go into that more in the forecast, but it is trending down for us this year than last year. If we look at the expenses, you'll see some huge increases in the equipment. That has to do with bus purchases. You'll look at and see that our total budget for the year is quite a bit higher than last year, and the percentage change is based on the current this year and the prior last year. So while our budget reflects that we knew we were going to make these purchases this year, it's just showing the change from how much we spent last year versus this year. Insurance costs are up in our fringe benefit line. If you remember back at the end of the fiscal year last year, we had to flow extra money from general fund into our insurance fund. So when we set insurance rates for this year, we did it a little bit higher, and that cost the district more as well in the employee. So in our fringe benefits line, you'll see it's up about 12%, and a lot of that has to do with our district portion of our insurance rates for employees, like our health benefits. There you go. So that's just a quick overview of the month of January. Before we dive into the 5-year forecast, is there any questions on the January financials?
I see under expenses, you have a thing on a note for us that just in the first half, we've spent nearly $30,000 just on CCP textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the College Credit Plus program and we pay a discounted rate per credit hour and stuff, but is there any, that's the word I'm looking for. We just have to pay for those textbooks. I mean, it's just as simple as that. If a student decides to go CCP, we're paying the cost of that textbook every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And we are also, it is our role to align with the colleges and universities as to how they provide textbooks to their students. So if you remember a couple of years back, when we switched from that PSEO to CCP and we made some of those changes, a lot of our local colleges and universities were actually using tangible textbooks. And so the district would need to purchase the textbook for that student. And then we started keeping those textbooks. And I actually, in the curriculum department, we actually had a library of sorts, because we would keep the books and then we would reissue it next semester to another student that was going to take that class.
Right.
So we didn't have to repurchase it. So that was a way that we were finding within the district to save some dollars. Majority of our local colleges and universities no longer use a tangible book. Many of them are using ebooks, where students need to have access to those. So we have to purchase the code for the student to utilize, and then they utilize that code for the semester, and they have access to their book. And then at the end of the semester, that code dissolves, and then when the next student wants to take the class, we will need to repurchase that.
So we're
code.
paying $30,000 for codes.
Some. We also pay per credit hour. There is still a tiered system within the state of Ohio for CCP. We pay a little bit more for our students that attend that college level course at the university
Right.
with the university's professor.
Right.
We pay a little bit less if they attend that college level course in our house with the college professor. And we pay the least amount when they are taking that college level course in our house with one of our staff members who are certified that the university has said they fit the bill and they can provide that college level credit. We do have a variety of all of that going on in our district. And I would just remind us from the district perspective, DCP is an amazing opportunity for our families and our students. It is free opportunity of college credit for our students, and our families benefit. Unfortunately, the district does not in that aspect.
Right. It's for
Somebody
families,
has to pay for it, right?
and we do.
Parents don't, the families don't. That's a wonderful opportunity for them. But the districts are paying in order for our families to be able to.
So just a side note for our families to understand, because Fremont City Schools picks that up, and my daughter is benefiting from that.
It's fantastic.
You know, absolutely. But to understand, when someone wants to complain that we are wasting money or that we get too much money from the state, I think some of your kids have benefited and some have graduated with an associate's degree, all on the dime of Fremont City Schools. I mean, that's just a fair way to say it, and it's pretty black and white. I mean, we're paying $30,000 for textbooks or codes for textbooks for CCP in the first half. I mean, that's, just make sure that as your child benefits from that you give a fair shake to the school district that is flipping the bill for that. And understand that has to come out of our money that, yes, we do get from taxes. I understand that. However, there are kids getting some college level courses when they are a freshman in high school.
Absolutely.
And it is helping them. And that family is like me. I will save money when my daughter goes off to college and paying that full price that she doesn't have to be there 4 years.
Correct.
So it is still benefiting me, even though Fremont Schools picked up the bill while she was in high school.
It's free for our families and our students. It is not, unfortunately, free.
I like how you both work together to make that come
She
together.
says it very nice. I say it a different way sometimes. I guess. But, okay. No, I just saw that note. I'm like, $30,000. Wow.
You
But
think that's high? That's cute.
Yeah.
We've
We've had years. We've had years where that number has been higher.
and I get it. And I mean, when you look at the cost of a textbook anymore, it's ridiculous. I would think. So I get it. It's a moneymaker for, and I'm not saying the colleges are doing this, but someone is making money off of online textbooks
No.
that are just sitting there that could
That
be
is out of
accessed
the
that you would think
sweetness.
if I get it for comp 1 at a college level, I should be able to have that on my server or whatever forever and a day until we decide not to use that, and it should be free of charge for anybody. But I mean,
So
come on.
that's
I know.
adorable.
I know.
I love that.
I know. That's super naive of me to think that somebody doesn't look at it as a money thing instead of an educational thing.
College textbooks has always been such
Oh,
a
I
racket.
know.
So
It is. Yeah. An expensive book, especially when you see who prints it. And it's
Uh-huh.
amazing.
Yeah.
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 I definitely had some college books that served more as a drawer holder opener than, and it wasn't because of my effort. Like we had to get these books and then we didn't even use them. So
I think I had
Also
a
neat.
$400 or $500 book that I used more as a stair step than
Yep.
in actually
Coaster.
context. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we used like one chapter out of the whole thing, and I was not a happy camper.
And you got to sell it back for like $50 or something like
Oh
that.
no, they weren't using that edition anymore, so we couldn't sell it back. So I still have. Well, I probably don't have it anymore, but it came home with me.
Right. All right. Sorry to throw you off on a tangent there.
That's fine. Okay, so on our 5-year forecast, it's beautiful, wonderful, full of very hard, fast numbers that I truly think we'll see over the next years. If you did not recognize that as sarcasm, that was highly sarcastic. Yes, I put a lot of time and effort into these numbers. they are best guesses as to our current state of where our revenue is coming from and how much of that revenue. I have simulations from our professional groups that we've based this off of, but it is a educated guess. I say that usually with my 5-year forecast, but I can't stress this now with all the different legislation coming through that's changing where our revenues are coming from, how they're coming from, and all of that.
In the time when you have to report this.
Yes.
You're reporting it before collections have taken place. And
So I don't even know. Normally when we would have the 5-year forecast due is the end of May. We would have 4 quarters of income tax collections. We would have all of our real estate collections done for the fiscal year. I could estimate revenues a lot closer. We haven't, as I reported on in January, we have only gotten 1 advance from the second collection of this year. So yeah, I have estimates of where that looks like it's going to fall, but you never truly know. So I just kind of wanted to give that little warning before we go and you look at the forecast and go, oh my gosh, Megan, your revenues are not going up. They're hardly moving. Yes, we had to be as conservative as possible when I looked at those numbers. There's a couple areas where our revenues are actually declining due to current trends. If you look at interest income, we are currently let's start with, if we look at the first column with the actual of last year's, we had $1.3 million of interest income. By the end of the forecast, I'm only projecting $900,000. And that's just due to the decline of our investment interest capabilities as the district. Anybody with a savings account, those interest rates are going down again. They were trending up for a while and we were able to benefit from that, but now they're going back down. The investments the district holds are the same thing. We're having to change our targets from short-term to long-term, see what we can utilize to the best for the district. But I am projecting that we will see a decline in interest over the next couple of years. A couple of the other areas, state funding, I have actually kept that flat just because I can't tell you what that's going to do. As Mr. Nally said, the state has been, from the DeRoth case, the state was supposed to be pitching in more. There is a calculation that due to your public or your local tax share, if it goes up, the state funding decreases. So we are actually projecting down, not due to legislation totally, but due to that calculation coming into play. So the state funding, and then there's also current legislation out there that we're going to see, they've projected us to see $1 million less in state funding. So we've really had to keep that number as best guess as I can give you. So you are going to see that it projects down from what's forecasted this year versus what we collected last year. And then I just kept it flat for the following years. Sure, look at my notes real quick.
Make under the revenues, the other receipts and state, is that grant funding? Is that
is not grant funding. This is just our general fund.
Okay.
Grant funding would throw into another category. This would be, I'm trying to think of the best way. Just all of our different, trying to think of the best way to explain it. There's different things that aren't calculated into state funding that we get. Trying to see if I can pull up an example real quick. What is? No, because I think that comes in.
separate
That's with state
foundation.
fund. Yeah. So there's just a couple other areas. I'll find the answer to that and get it to you, just because I don't want to misspeak and then be like, oh no, that's actually in another line. But I'll pull that line out and then get that answer for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep. And then also you'll see that the forecasted column that it's very dark. I did not print in color because I don't condone people that print in color. So my printed version is black. But the federal revenue that is our Medicaid income. And you'll see last year's was 14,000. This year's is 335,000. And then you'll see on the forecast it's 35,000 going out. So every year we have a Medicaid, almost like a true-up process. They go through all of our claims and see if the state has paid us everything they should. And the previous one, I think it was our fiscal 23, maybe 24, they found that they owed us almost $300,000 more. So this year we got quite a bit of additional Medicaid money. I know. I'm just glad I don't have to pay that bill. So the Medicaid process is a really interesting process. And it fluctuates so much every year how much they pay us versus what they find when they do this true-up process. And it's about a year or two in arrears. And we usually get it in July or August. So that number fluctuates so much. So I kind of looked at what we've gotten in the past couple of years. This year is abnormally high. But I think the first year I was here, it was like 180,000. So it really does fluctuate. But
When that true up happens, it could really go either way.
yeah, we
So
could end up
sometimes we
owing
could-
them.
Yeah.
And
So
that's always like,
we're happy
"Ooh."
that this time they're paying us.
So we have to have a fund in the fund just in case. Like, I'll ask those questions later. Like, who audits that process and how does
So we pay for a fully separate Medicaid audit. It's done by an independent audit company. And then we work with HBC as our Medicaid billing processor. So between our audit, HBC, and the information that Student Services and I provide, they go through and find out how much we should have actually been owed versus what they paid us.
this is based on student population and different
Needs
demographic
and
things that
Billable hours, all of that fun
Got it.
stuff.
So there's actually quite a substantial amount
Mhm.
of staff that are instrumental in making sure that they have very clean documentation, fulfilling all of those requirements, and communicating all of those billable opportunities for therapies and things that we do provide in the district.
Yeah. And I really do. A lot of districts I've heard have harder time getting their staff to provide this Medicaid because it's a lot of extra work for them to input all of this stuff.
I'm sure.
And we truly do benefit from that. So I do thank them all for putting in the extra time and effort.
Certainly.
And we get reports throughout the year of different things if we're missing different important pieces that they need for this to be, I'm trying to think of, not like, if you don't have certain things filled out, it's not billable then. So Gina gets a list every month from HPC that says, hey, this doesn't have a signature. Hey, this person's not putting in any hours, and they put in hours last year. And so they really do stay on top of us for those claims.
Okay.
So some other things I wanted to highlight. Yes, you will see the overall for the forecast, we start out pretty strong for the fiscal 25 or for fiscal 26. Fiscal 27, we're still doing pretty good, not anywhere near as good. And then you'll see fiscal 28, we start to hit deficit spending, which is very early on in the forecast for us. But that really has to do with me keeping revenues so stagnant and pretty similar to what they have been over the last couple of years, and not showing too much of an increase in those lines. Do I necessarily think that that will be the case? Hopefully not, but I can't. I couldn't produce this on wishes and hopes and dreams. So
Mhm.
as much as I would love to not see us hit deficit spending in fiscal 27 or fiscal 28, just where I see the comfortable hitting revenues, that's where we start seeing that deficit spending. And then it keeps growing as we go out further into the forecast. If and when this actually happens, we can also reevaluate some of the purchases that we have planned in those expense areas. And maybe decrease some of those areas. And I don't mean staffing. I don't want anybody to think that that's where I'm going with this.
We're not buying buses and
Exactly. Thank you. Yes.
We'll have those
There's-
communications
yes.
jointly. We'll keep those conversations.
Sure.
Yes, that would be more of what we would be looking at. There's also transfers out in the last line of before the total expenditures. Those can also be backed off. Those are into our capital project fund and our severance fund. If we truly see those revenues not coming out as high as we want to, we could back those off as well. So there's some variables in here that we can actually have control over if we see it not going well, and to keep that deficit spending out of our general fund. We can make some changes here and there just to keep our bottom line where we would like it to see. So yes, we are having deficit spending earlier than what we normally would, but that is something we will constantly keep an eye on in the next couple of years.
And again, that's what makes it really scary with things like the property tax issues and,
Mm-hmm.
and if the state is reducing our percentage of support. So, and just to clarify, predict or estimate is the definition of forecast. But when you were kind of joking about that, it's not an exact science. You're looking at the future, and it just helps to plan for budget and dollars that that we need or will expend in the future.
So that other line that I was talking about, the equipment and capital purchases, that's where we would also be able to readjust the buses. Another line I want to highlight, just because it looks like there's such a huge jump from this year to last year, is purchase services. And we've had a couple things come up in the last year where one of the bigger things would be our School of Hope payments. They had been billing us at a very low rate because they had some help with other funds. We are now paying the full price for those services. So that's part of that really large increase in if you look at that purchase services line, it's up almost $1 million. Well, actually a little over $1 million from this year to last year. So I just kind of wanted to say there's been some things that are not black and white as to what's going on. It's not that we're spending $1 million more on any particular thing, but there's a couple areas where we've had some years where we didn't have to pay as much because they weren't charging us as much, and now we're having to pay the full price, and that really skyrocketed that purchase service area. So, sorry, Sarah, I was looking at you.
I'm like, yep, gotcha.
So, I just really wanted to highlight there isn't any one particular thing in that line that's made it go up $1 million. It's just we've had a couple different things that are coming in more expensive. Every contract we hold for our outside services has gone up. That's just even from
With
online.
everything else.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everything just goes,
It is.
yeah, it's gone up. So it's not just one thing, it is multiple things in that purchase service area. Sorry, I'm just reading through my notes real quick to make sure I'm hitting on everything. There's a couple other things in the House bills that have to do with the district state share. Like one of the other areas, they are counting our full valuation for funding purposes, but we won't actually receive it. And that's based on that, how much of the local share we're receiving. The state cuts it back.
say that whole sentence one more time.
The state counts our full valuation, but they won't pay it on the full valuation due to the fact that they scale it back because of how much local share we're receiving with our real estate
Oh,
taxes.
got it.
So
Got it.
that's just another highlight of that.
Had to say that slow for me. Like what?
Sometimes I think I explain things better in my head because it makes sense and it doesn't.
Just talk to us in layman's terms.
He's like, I am. Actually, I am.
Another area I wanted to talk about in our revenues. So in 250, there's with our poverty funding that we receive from the state of Ohio, they used to take it off of our CEP. Sorry. CCP, CCIP, and CEPI. Weirdly enough, I get them mixed up. So I always look to Denise. I'm like, which one do I need to sign? Because she's really good.
Yes. Community Eligibility Program,
Right.
CEP.
So they used to base our poverty funding on the numbers that they would receive from that of families stating what their income was. And then we would receive funding based on it. Excuse me. Now we have this process called direct certification with the state where they automatically identify, and then we are able to identify our families that qualify, with the district being 100 going 100% for CEP purposes for this breakfasts and lunches. That really inflated that area for the district. So the state went, oh, we really can't use that number, because if they're saying 100% and then we're picking up the tab for those kiddos that aren't directly identified as poverty kids, they had to relook at where they're pulling those numbers from. So because we're saying 100% of our families are,
Yeah.
but they're not.
Because
Okay.
we provide for 100% of our families to have
Yes.
breakfast and lunch.
Heard. I was like, what kind of
Yeah,
But not
wizardry is that?
truly 100% of our families would qualify in that
Correct.
manner. So now there's a difference. There's a disconnect there. So
Mhm.
similar to previous conversation,
Right.
free for all. Very excited for that opportunity, that offering. But there are dollars attached to that at the local district level. That's the decision that we have made, that we're going to produce those dollars to do that in order to have 100% of our families participate.
So 100% minus direct certification equals bill.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're now looking at our funding for poverty at the direct certification numbers. So I think it was last year they based it off of our CEP numbers, which were inflated. And now this year they're looking at our direct cert numbers So we're looking at it probably about a $250,000 decrease in funding, which is appropriate. So that's just another
Eerie.
area of our revenues that we had to project down as well. As always, for a district our size, our main expense drivers are our salaries, benefits, and purchase services. We always watch that salary and benefits percentage. You'll see on the forecast, it happens every time. As soon as that salary and benefits number creeps towards 80%, that's when we hit deficit spending. You'll see we're at 74% in fiscal 27. Fiscal 28, we're at 77%, and that's the year we hit deficit spending. And then out the forecast to 80 and 84%. So that's always been an indicator for us, is that salary and benefits percentage of revenue as to when we're going to tip into that deficit spending. Purchase services makes up 17%. And when you're in the people business, that's where your main drivers are going to be. There's no shock there. And in fact, we always hover right in that high 60s to 80% category.
I mean, any business. You have, whether you own a
Unless
local
you're
business or
producing something, yeah.
you're always going to have. You need people to do the job, and you have to take care of them, and services to do whatever the job is. So.
In the forecast for salary and wages, we used our negotiated agreements that we currently have in place to project out those salaries. We take into consideration potential retirements of higher paid employees versus bringing on new hires. That would be less. But again, we don't count on that. So we use more of a median between the two. And then there's also staff step increases that get factored into that as well as they move up the salary schedule. So all that plays factors into how much is forecasted for salary and wages. Benefits, you're going to see that's projected to increase quite a bit as well, about $1 million each year, roughly. And everybody's seeing medical costs go up, so we can't ignore that indicator either. So we will keep projecting that up. Even though we see a slight decline in our enrollment, our special ed education is increasing. So we also had to take that into consideration with our purchase services for the additional cost of our kiddos and in our salary and wages. Because, we have to provide services to the kids, and unfortunately it is a higher cost. So we do keep that in I keep that in my brain as I'm getting those expenses.
And that trend, if I say that, is a new norm at some level.
Yes. We're seeing a lot more kiddos being identified.
That's fair to say.
Is that fair, Abby? I don't know. That's kind of what we're seeing just in our numbers. I don't know that I probably
sure. And
we're obligated to instruct and provide all the services that are necessary
absolutely.
For all of our students.
Absolutely.
And we also, ratios play into that of the students versus the teachers. So then we have to sometimes add more staff in to keep those ratios where they need to be. And
that's kind of more of what I was like, that whole formula of, services, child enrollment, just kind of what that looks like. And
just as a side note on that, remember, private schools, community schools don't necessarily have to do that. So just wanted to toss that in there real quick. Public schools do. We educate everyone who comes to our building.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
However, if we're not a
Best
public
manners.
school, we don't have to abide by those rules. So,
Okay.
sorry.
Yep. Nope, that is very.
It's the season, Tom. This is the season.
There's a whole lot. Columbus is finally back in action. Let's go. They got a whole big Christmas break. I tell you what.
Yeah, if you've read some emails, their legislation is just amazing that they're coming through. So that's just kind of some of the highlights for the next couple of years on the forecast. We do have projected in the capital equipment some bus purchases over the next couple of years. We also are going to see increases in our utility bills and our supplies. Everybody's seen an uptick in costs, so are we. We try to purchase through consortiums like we just approved tonight with the buses and different areas that where we feel that we can see some savings but not see a decline in quality.
Right.
Keep that nice little healthy balance. So that was all taken into consideration as I was building these numbers out. Am I really happy that we're at a deficit spending of $4 million at the end? No. But I'm not used to seeing that high of a number when I get to my forecast. But again, I really did have to keep those revenue estimates very conservative, while weirdly enough, I felt a lot better projecting expenses.
Checks out.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
So hopefully we won't see as much of a downturn in our revenues or stagnantness in our revenues is what I'm projecting, but I just had to keep it with what I know.
Well, the thing is, the way they're doing this now, it's a 4-year forecast based on 3 years worth of data, but it has to be projected out to 5 years. So it's a 4-year based on 3, but it's actually a 5.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Right. Let's get it really precise. Nobody's going to be able to nail it.
On a bills that just keep changing how our revenue comes in, and every time we get something new, I have new simulations of what our revenue is going to be, and weirdly enough, it never is projecting up. Now, I will say we're in a much better place than some other districts that are seeing a greater loss in revenues, but it is something I'm going to have to watch closely in the next coming years, because losing $4 million out of our very conservative fund balance is not where I want to be. So
Yeah.
we're starting with about the first year of the forecast with a $10.2 million fund balance, and then ending with a 3.5. And that's a little scary to me. I mean, we're not out of money, so it's not as scary as I've seen some years be by the 5th year, but it's just something I really am going to have to watch, because I don't want to really get close to that, because a $3 million balance is not a good cushion for us.
It'll all wash out. If not, we'll just start having car washes and everything. We'll make that money back.
Car washes.
Don't worry.
Can't afford the water bill.
Okay, Megan will be
Last
looking for a
goes
new
the
job. Yeah, if you see those numbers by then, I'll be looking for a new treasurer position. So that's the general fund for the next couple of years. I just wanted to highlight some of our other funds. We talk about a lot of other services, and on a board agenda, we'll talk about expenditures that are not in the general fund. The 5-year forecast is only our general fund. We also have the food service fund that we are currently at $1.5 million. If you'll remember, we are in a spend down plan for that federal fund. With our full CEP being able to pay, have free breakfasts and lunches for our students, that fund is still doing good to support that initiative of the districts. And that's always something that we want to make sure it could do. It is staying afloat on its own, and that's a very good thing for our district. That capital Fund 707 is our capital projects fund. We've been slowly saving for the future of our buildings. We have all brand new buildings right now, except for this beauty that I would love to say is brand new, but it's
13 years old.
yeah, 13 years old.
Time flies.
Yeah. So, if we need it's starting to have some things that are major expenses for us. So it's nice to have money that's not in our general fund that we have set aside to pay for when things start going bad. And unfortunately, it was great to build 5 new buildings all at once, but what does that mean when everything starts going out due to age? You're going to have 5 new buildings. So it's nice that we have some money set aside for that purpose alone. It's not allowed to be used for other things. It is strictly for these capital buildings of ours.
And that's something that you've said consistently for as long as I've been on the board. We have 5 new buildings all at the same time. What if everybody's whatever goes out at the same time? And this is why this fund is like that.
Yeah.
So
I want to make sure that if anybody listens to this, they understand, yes, we have some money set aside, but it is for legit, real reasons. We want to be able to keep up and maintain our buildings and that the community has helped us build. And we want them to be as great as they can be. So we are trying to plan for the future as best as we can.
earmarked for that purpose.
Yes.
I think that's if you're going to say that, say that as well.
Yep.
So that people, well, if you got money there, you can just move it here and do this. And that's not how that goes.
Right.
Correct.
We also have a permanent improvement fund that we get that is part of our levy on for real estate taxes. We spend that as appropriately as we can. On the board agenda tonight, one of the buses is going to be purchased from our permanent improvement fund rather than our general fund. Again, just to keep that balance of things that we have some cash in some other areas. We want to keep the spend appropriate from the general fund versus the permanent improvement. We also have our bond fund, which helps pay our, sorry, I'm having the hiccups right now. Helps pay for our bond payments. It's almost kind of like your loan payment. We pay those in January and July of every year to the couple $1 million. So with our bond fund, we get payments from our real estate collections, and then and the county auditor every year looks at those. What's the balances in our fund and how much they need to collect, and they change the mills a little bit just to make sure we're not collecting too much or we're not collecting not enough. So again, so that we can make those payments every year. It's an every year process that we're looking at that with the county auditor. I just kind of wanted to highlight those are not just things we just go, okay, it's this amount is levied. There's actual homework that gets done with those to make sure that we're not over collecting or under collecting.
We kid around about the 4 buildings at one time, but what people need to realize is the gamble was when we were going for the levy, we either go for the full package, pay for it over the course of time, or go and build 1 building, then 2 buildings. And to do that and go back to the community how many times to meet our needs is not sellable. So, with doing the 4 buildings at once, and having the permanent improvement dollars and planning for, we can take care of those buildings.
Right.
And, so like I said, I know we kid about it, but we really have a plan for taking care of those buildings in the future.
And I think that's exactly what Megan was saying. Like, that funding
Mhm.
there is there for that reason. And we talk about, things going, when you have one building to manage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little different, but when you have 5 buildings all built at the same time, there could be a strong likelihood that I'm going to say something that might not even be accurate, but a boiler goes out in every building,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, at the same time, because they were built at the same time and they have the same, I know we don't have boilers, whatever. But they're built at the same time and their
Right.
lifespan is the same
Very-
time. I think that's what,
And the dollars are being put aside to
Correct.
take care of those situations. And
I think that's what Megan was
Yep.
was saying.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We are regulated by those, with it being an Ohio Facilities Council project. We do have to set aside part of our permanent improvement collections annually into, it's called 034.
Mm-hmm.
And that is our, shoot, I'll say it wrong because I get it. That is also set aside to take care of these buildings, but we actually use those for service contracts and things like that to, again, manage that, what comes out of general fund versus what we use some of our other money set aside for. So there's a lot of different areas that we try to keep the general fund as, healthy as possible by utilizing some other areas. But so, and those other funds are highly regulated as what we can and cannot spend money out of. So those specialized areas, we do utilize what we can to keep that general fund as healthy as possible. Are there any other questions or comments on the 5-year forecast?
just find more money.
Simple as that.
Yeah. It's always a fun task. Also, I have on here tonight the approval for accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission. So like I kind of started talking about during the forecast, we every year have to submit a budget to the county auditor's budget, or not the county auditors, to the Budget Commission, which the county auditor sits on. And we say, this is what we're looking at expenditure wise. So then they look at what our voted millages for our rates for the next year and what we need to collect and set those rates. So we did that back in January. We submitted right after the organizational meeting, we had the tax budget approval. And now we've submitted that to the County Budget Commission, and this is what they've come back with. So this is just that last step in that process.
And what's coming back to us is they're analyzing,
Valuations and that kind of thing.
and we're getting out of it what we expected.
Yep. So, and then my last item is to look at, or to have our bonds have a reissuance. And that takes up most of those pages that Mr. Price was giving me some flack about.
Never do that.
This is a very intense process for the district, but we are looking at significant savings, not only for the district, but for our community as well. As I said about the forecast, every year the county auditor and I look at how much we need to make our bond repayments for, and with getting them refinanced, we are looking at a savings that would help our taxpayers. We could save more money on how much we need for these bonds, and that would help our community because we wouldn't have to collect as much. So now I will say some of these bond repayment schedules go out 30 some more years, but there is a savings involved, and we try to do that as much as possible, not just for us, but for our community. So
Kind of like a home refinance.
yeah. Yep.
Interest rates go down, so it's worth me refinancing, even with the fees involved, and it's going to save me money.
Exactly.
Long
Yep.
term.
So we are looking at doing this. I think they would like to finish the process up in April. So we're starting the board approval process for this now. We've been watching it for the past year with interest rates falling on bonds, and we are finally at the projected estimation that we would like to see recommended of how much savings we would see for the district. I think that's finally my last item for tonight. Oh, I will note, when I was scrolling through all these pages, there was some extra language that made it in the agenda that shouldn't have been on here, so that will be taken out and reflected in the minutes. There was like a certification. That's all for my stuff when I have to submit this to the county
I
auditor.
was wondering about
Yeah.
that.
So it will stop. There is a section 24, and it says the treasurer is directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to the county auditors of Sandusky County, Ohio. That is the last thing that will appear on the agenda. The rest of that, that whole section is for me to actually submit to our county auditor. So that's being taken out, and I will end it for the minutes after that section 24. So
Right
like
here.
all the way up to here.
So section 24 is gone.
Well, no, just this last section of section
Got it.
24. Yep.
Got
That
it.
last sentence. So I just wanted to make note of that before we move into the approvals. So with that being said, Mr. Price, you can go into.
Sure.
Sorry. For item 13.
Can I get approval can I get a motion to approve item 13 for the January financial report, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lewis. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yes.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. Next, can I get a motion to approve item 14, which is the, I want to say 5-year forecast, but
Yes.
it really isn't a 5.
It's the forecast.
Yes. So this
Well, that's what the agenda
motion to
says.
approve the forecast, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nally. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lehman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. Next, can I get a motion to approve item 15, which is the resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined by-
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lehman. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nally. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lehman,
Yes.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. And the last one, can I get a motion to approve item 16, which is the resolution for the issuance of the bonds, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lehman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. All of these pages.
Page 24, if you're wondering.
And on to board member communications. Don.
I have nothing this evening.
There?
It's almost the end of the third quarter, coming up in a few weeks here. So March 20th, I think, is the end of the third quarter. So spring sports are starting like this week. So eligibility matters, people. I am going to take just a little bit of time to give a shout out to all of our winter sports teams, but let's talk about these Lady Giants in all sports right now. Lady Giant Bowlers advanced to districts last week, and they'll compete again on Wednesday. Both the boys and girls swim teams made it to districts, but our Lady Giant diver Elena Gray will represent Ross at the state meet. This is the first time we've had a diver qualify since 2009. So congratulations to her. Also, Logan Garza, he will represent the Little Giants boys team at the state swim meet in the 100-meter breaststroke. I know I said talk about the Lady Giants, but we got to talk about everybody. The Lady Giants basketball team are the 3P NLL Cardinal Division champions, which I think was pretty neat. Our freshman Bryn Ward earned NLL Cardinal Division Player of the Year, NLL Player of the Year, and District 6 All District First Team honors. Sarai Oman earned All NLL First Team honors and District 6 All District Second Team honors. And Charity Crow earned Second Team All NLL honors. I will pass the baton at some point to Mr. Price to talk about the Lady Giant wrestling team. I dare not steal that thunder, but they have done some really, really neat things here. And then just kind of additionally with our winter sports, the phantom toilet flushing is killing me. Freshman Jake Cahill earned District 6 second team honors for basketball. The basketball team is picking up some momentum right at the end, but they beat the first place Sylvania Southview team 53-46 on Friday, snapping their 11-game winning streak, which was a really good win for the boys, and they go into their postseason starting Wednesday. On Thursday this week, if you want to hear some good band music, our high school band has a concert at 6:30 in the PAC. And our middle school and high school orchestra will travel to Perrysburg High School this weekend to compete in the OMEA State Orchestra Competition. The high school will perform at 4:30 on Friday at Perrysburg High School. Middle school will be at 9:30 on Saturday morning. But if you can't make it to Perrysburg on Friday or Saturday, tomorrow night they're giving a preview concert at 6:30 to watch both of those orchestras in the PAC.
Good.
That's it.
All right.
I had to type these out today because it's not getting it together on my little yellow pad.
Laura?
Well, on February 12th, I had the privilege to, sorry, I'm losing my voice a little. I had the privilege to go to the high school, and Abby took me around, and we ran into Mr. Norris, and just kind of going around the school. It was bright and early, and they had, it was called, what was it, Enroll, Enlist, and Employ. They had like community businesses, colleges, military, kind of set up in the gym, and we were just in there strolling around, and kids were not on cell phones, so they were engaging in conversation. They, not only with themselves, but with the people that were set up, the community members that came here, military, all that. They were really interested in what was going on. I really thought it was nice, and I took some time to talk to the kids, and some of the teachers. Just it was a good atmosphere to be in the middle of. So I enjoyed that, and just visiting around the school and seeing what was going on. The school was super clean. I mean, I think all the schools are always kept in good shape. I mean, I think we've brought this up before. It was nice. I enjoy visiting schools. So, so Abby, thank you for taking the time to do that. And I'm looking forward to Friday. We're going to to see what the younger kids are getting into. So I'll report back on that the next time to see what our adventures are. Yep.
Lori?
Well, thank you to the boys tonight from Men with Manners and Mr. Norris on his presentation. It's nice to hear that they're talking to each other and that they're actually engaging and not just looking down. Because at my house, when it comes to dinner time, everybody's devices go. We sit and talk, and most of the time when the kids come over now, they're in their 20s. There's not a lot of cell phones. We're chasing little ones around and playing music for the 2-year-old and just hanging out and having a good time. When we get board games out, they like to do that too. So it's nice to hear that the older kids are doing that stuff. And all the donations and the people that are giving their time and their extra effort to help our children. That's it.
Ryan, thanks for coming in, giving us the update on the cell phone policy and how well our students are getting acclimated to it and took to it right away. So that's a great compliment to them and the staff and everything at the high school. So spring sports coming up. Good luck to all those athletes that are getting ready and the coaches that are getting all that stuff organized and everything. And then Sarah took the other winter sports. So I'll hit wrestling. I was there. We had our NLL league meet on Saturday. This is the first time ever that there was the girls wrestling NLL tournament. Actually, we're one of the few leagues, talking to other coaches and the commissioner of the NLL, there isn't too many conferences or leagues around the state that had a girls wrestling tournament. So we were one of the few in the state. This is the first year for it. And we did it alongside the boys. So they would do a round of boys, a round of girls. Napoleon hosted it. They did a great job. Everything was organized really well. There was a lot of teams there, a lot of wrestlers. Boys took second in the Cardinal division. So they pulled out well, lost it in points to Clay, took first in the Cardinal. And then the girls were just one division. We ended up winning by quite a landslide, actually. Very proud of our girls. Of the 14 weight classes, we had 11 girls competing for the championship of that weight class, and 8 of them took first. So 8 of the 14 weight classes went to Fremont Ross Lady Giant. So
That's what's up.
the word of the day was dominate, and they kind of did that in a big fashion. Point wise, second place was 115 points behind us. So, and I realize we have a strong team. We have the numbers on our team compared to some of the others. So not to, Perrysburg had 2 girls compete. So you can't, there is a difference there, but it's growing. So
Our girls were tougher.
they showed a lot of perseverance on Saturday. So they did a great job. Jaden Long got Female Wrestler of the Year for the league. So congratulations to her, especially as her senior year. But both wrestling teams are getting ready. We have sectionals this weekend. Boys they leave Friday night, and we wrestle on Sunday in Finley for our sectionals. So good luck to both wrestling teams and other team and swimmer, our diver, the ladies bowling team, all those that are moving on. So with that, there's no reason for an executive session. So can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lehman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lehman,
Yeah.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Nally,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. Meeting's adjourned.